Ladies and gentlemen, we live in the diverse world that not all country has a good economy, good society, etc. But as a human being, it is naturally that we always seek for a better life, for our better future, so on till we see that we are not getting any better life in our own country. So we move on, we seek a better land to live for us, for our next generation. We becoming an immigrant. But as a native tribe that runs in our blood, we still feel secure when we are around our own people. We live free without getting any trouble for different habits, so we live in our ethnic enclave. Ladies and gentlemen, as a first generation immigrant, parent of color in predominantly white country, this house would choose to live and raise children in an ethnic enclave. As first generation immigrant, we refer to an immigrant who has foreign born and relocated and become a citizen or permanent resident in a new country. For example, a first generation Mexican American is someone who was born in Mexico and immigrated to the United States. Ethnic enclave are communities with high concentration of one ethnic group maintaining a strong sense of ethnic or national identity within another country. For example, Chinatown or Koreatown. So ladies and gentlemen, our goal as a first generation immigrant is to maintaining our identity, to feel secure, to seek a better life for our next generation without getting any trouble in our diverse land within another country we live. So, as a Prime Minister, I will bring you 2 points that that ethnic enclave will prevent society problem and prevent racism. So, my as Deputy Prime Minister will elaborate our case today. So, come to my first point. My first point is ethnic enclave is an environment to prevent society problem. As a diverse ethnic, we understand that our habits is really different to the others. As immigrant, we have to maintaining our own culture, our habits without getting disturbing our surrounding, our neighborhood citizen that really has a different way to live. So we don't want to disturb a native people. For example, as a Muslim people, we has a tradition to pray 5 times a day. We created a mess that also created a noise. But for us, that noise is blessed for us, but it is a disturb for the others ethnic, for example. To prevent social problem, to prevent the further problem that may cause us for this problem, we believe that ethnic enclave is a perfect place for us as an ethnic to live free, that we have to do all our habits, and to prevent social problem all around us that may cost us our life, that in the other land we prefer to live among our ethnic that has the same understanding of our culture. So we will prefer to live in our own culture, our own people that have the same understanding of culture, tend to live among the society that really has a different understanding of culture that may cause us another society problem. So come to the second point. My second point is the ethnic enclave will prevent racism itself. So as we know that racism is a really hot issue lately, we see that in the white country, for example, it's really have a massive racism, for example. It is always happen, especially if we are minority in that land. As an immigrant, we have to prevent the issues of racism that we could prevent. We could not expect more to the majority to open-minded, to become adult, to mature in that point. And we could not expect more to the government to protect us from the racial issues. It is always happen all the time. Majority failed to open-minded, and the government failed to create a neighborhood that will live in unity in diversity. It is all in our hand now. We have a choice. We have a choice to listen to racism and take it personally, or we can live among, or we can take the racism as a product of a close-minded people that we don't have to listen to, or we can live among our own ethnic so we can feel more secure and reduce the possibility of being attacked of racism. So we prefer to live among our own citizens or our own people that have a one understanding of habits and also culture, so we can prevent the racism that always happen all the time. Because what? Because we could not expect more from this society, the majority society that could not be open-minded. For this case, the example we see the example a lot for today. We see the racism is very bad day after day, because that point that majority is failed to create an open-minded society, and the government failed to give us the unity in diversity. So this is all in our hand to make the racism not happen to us, to prevent the racism. So we ethnic enclave will prevent that racism itself for ourselves. So it is in our hand. We have to choose that we could live in the ethnic enclave to prevent this racism itself. So ladies and gentlemen, as a community that live in other nation, we understand that as minority we could not expect more to majority. We should understand that we ourselves to create a society that where we can live as majority, at least for our neighborhood, at least for our own people. And the enclave is the answer of that statement. My point that I've stated before, my point that first, that ethnic enclave is an environment to prevent the society problem itself, and the second is ethnic enclave will prevent the racism itself. So to seek our goal, to get a better life, to get a better purpose, to get a better job, to get a better life for our next generation, we have to make it happen by ourselves. So till the end of the day, proud to propose. Thank you.
Honorable Educator, fellow debaters, and all of the audience. So today's motion will be about this House as a first-generation immigrants, parents of color in a predominantly white country, will choose to live and raise their children in an ethnic enclave. So first of all, I would like to explain why does this even happen. First of all, we are all humans. Humans have desire, and most of that desire can be fulfilled mostly by having high income economy, and that's why people risk their life in traveling to a modern country to search for more income to have a better next generation. And of course, when they go to a new country, they must be a first generation country where they must first adapt to the situation and try to be or get used to that new system or that new environment. And also, of course, in a first generation country, there will be very many barriers that will having many challenges that you must finish, or you must solve that many challenges by yourself because you are first generation. And moving on to a little point for my first speaker. As my first speaker have said more about immigrants move becoming a first generation by itself because of they want to have a better future. That is the main purpose of every individual's move to another country to get more high salary income. That is the most fundamental purpose of a individual's move. And the next is about security to feel safe. That is why ethnic enclave exists, because to feel secure, that I will be explaining more in my arguments. And the next point is about evade racism will be the most what we are talking about in this whole debate. And moving on to my first point. My first point is about status quo. As you can see the status quo now, many people do this. Ethnic enclave exists. Chinatown, Little India, Koreatown, it exists because of what? It exists because it leads them to do so. So it proved that today's motion, as this House as a first-generation immigrant parent of color in predominantly white country will choose to live and raise their child in an ethnic enclave. This fact shows that it really happening, and this is the only thing that is happening now in our daily life. It's the most common thing that happened, and it has been also proven about this debate, about this motion. And the next is, why does even ethnic enclave exist? Now I'll give you a little more explanation and reason why does this ethnic enclave even exist. First of all, to feel secure. When we are a first generation people from other foreign country that want to try to having high economy, in having a better life in another country, of course, first we must try to adapt. And how do we adapt? We adapt by making us feel secure first, because want to adapt. If you don't feel secure, there's many challenges that will make you go down. You cannot adapt. You will not survive in that. So first of all, you need to make yourself feel secure in that environment. So how do you do so? How the answer to that question is ethnic enclave. Ethnic enclave is the solution, the first solution that you must do to make you feel secure. Because of why? Because humans need someone. Humans need someone to rely on. And that someone must be someone that have something in common with you yourself. Here, I'll give you a simple case scenario. When you can look around you, around your circle friend, for example, most of your friends have something in common between you, isn't it? For example, you like football, you like to watch football, soccer, and etc. And because of you like that, most of your best friends or friends also having that something in common. That's why you become friends. That's why you trust each other, because you have something in common. Same in these cases about ethnic enclave. It happens because you have something in common. You are a first generation. So what would you do to feel or to make yourself feel secure? You make this ethnic enclave. Because of why? Because you have something in common. Because you are trying to adapt in this new environment. That's why you choose to make ethnic enclave as your solution to make you feel secure and will help you to adapt to a new foreign country. That is proof that why a first generation immigrant will choose to live and raise their children in an ethnic enclave. And the next is about first generation, about minority. If you are a first generation that comes from another country to a certain country, of course you are the minority in there. So because you are the minority, you need something to make you feel like you have a backup plan. You have someone to rely on. Back again to my point. You have something to rely on. So what it is? It's ethnic enclave. Ethnic enclave is something that you can rely on because you trust you trust your own ethnics more rather than people that you are just met. Of course, that is what's happening. So you help each other because you are a minority. You are trying to survive. You help each other because you trust. Because you trust, you help. And you don't trust. It's not that you don't trust other people or the people that you just met. It's just you trust more on people that you already know. You knew each other. That's why you trust that individuals more rather than people that you have just met and having different ethnics. It's not racism or anything. It's just the comparison between your trust in other individuals. And that is the basic nature of humans. Humans choose their partner or other people. They choose who to trust more. Because of why? There's many basic reasons why you trust a certain person. And if you don't choose this ethnic enclave, the worst case scenario I would say is you will not survive. First of all, you don't have anything to depend on. You don't have anyone to depend on. You are living in your own circle. So who do you depend on? You don't have something to trust. And the worst case scenario, if that person didn't know you and then you trust him and then that person scam or make you lose everything because you are moving to another country that you just met that person. If you trust him and then suddenly he scam you, he do some scam to you, what will happen? You lost everything. You will not survive, and then you will become poverty state or etc. You will not survive in that new area. That's why people choose to raise their children in an ethnic enclave rather than trusting other people. It's not they don't trust. It's just they have their own point. And in conclusions, humans always try to get close to what they have in common. That is human. That is what nature of humans. That's all for me. Thank you.